So, we've been actually doing these 1 minute videos for, estate planning for Smith & Williams Trial Group. And the request has been like, I love these videos, but I want to get more information about what estate planning is and why it's so important. So now we're going to actually have an extended long-range conversation just about estate planning and the things that are important and why we're so passionate.
Okay.
So if you guys can see, we're actually wearing our Black Dreams sweatshirt, and it has a little silhouette of a rose. We'll get into that, why that's so important in a little bit. But when we're talking about Black Dreams, Divine, what are your thoughts on that?
I think about the Black legacy, and when I think about Black Dreams, I think about those who came before us, per se, and how much the vast amount of things that they've acquired during their lifetime, whether it be trademarks, whether it be intellectual properties, whether it be real property, and how much of that hasn't been transferred and realized by the generations after them.
So, that's really important, because when we're talking about assets and we're talking about people passing on legacies that are important to them, dreams really are just things that people are plans that are imaginative, that actually can be placed on paper. That's what an estate plan is. An estate plan is really just a dream on paper.
Right.
And so when I'm talking about somebody who really wants to establish a dream or wants to plan out for their family, I think of things where they see a vision for their family, they see a vision for their lives, and they're like, you know what? It's a goal that I want to attain. That's really what's important for Smith & Williams Trial Group. Like, we try to really help people reach their goals.
And I would go one step further. I do agree that dreams are, an estate plan is the, manifestation of your dreams, right? You're basically saying, this is what I've acquired, this is what I have, and I want to go ahead, and this is how I plan for it to be transferred.
Right.
But I think people also have to think about it as a capitalization on one person's dream. You know what I mean? On your mother's dreams, your father's dream, or whoever. It's a capitalization of it. And regardless of who, what, when, where, why, someone's going to capitalize on it. Whether it be you, a direct inherit of somebody's estate,
right,
or somebody else. Somebody's going to inherit it.
Right. One of the things we often run into is when people say, I don't have enough things in my asset. I don't have enough assets. I don't have anything to put in an estate. And, pivoting a little back to like these sweatshirts, we talk about that, a seed can really grow into a flower, or can blossom into something incredible. And so we talk about an estate plan. One small seed can really increase your estate or plan for the future. Let's give an example of how, we talk about people who have a life insurance policy and they say it's $10,000. And, great grandparents said, I'm going to, give my son or give my heir a $10,000 life insurance policy. Takes that life insurance policy, then turns that into a college education. That college education then turns into a life of debt. Debt. And what I'm talking about, obviously, college is a lot more expensive now. I'm talking about in the 60s or whatnot. They turn that into then having no debt, so they can actually purchase a home.
Right.
Then that person purchases a home, so then they don't have to worry about. They don't have a lot of debt, and then they can take more equity in the home. And then what do? They can put that into their child, which is is a grandchild of the person who initially gave that $10,000 investment. That is the seed of a blessing that we don't see, or we don't really take in consideration. So I really want people to really focus in on, when it's not the amount of assets that are important, it's the seed that you're planting for your family that's going to really help blossom into something beautiful.
Right. It's almost like the gift that keeps giving, right? And you brought up a 1960s example. Let me bring forward a more recent example. Master P. I'm not sure how many people know this, but his grandfather left him a $10,000 life insurance policy where he was the beneficiary of that life insurance policy. Master P took that $10,000 and turned it into a multi-million-dollar, revenue streaming system. You know, he took that and he cashed out on the money industry, not the money industry. I'm sorry, the music industry.
Right.
He also purchased an NBA team, and he's had several real estate developments throughout the course of his years, and now he has basically solidified his children and their children to also inherit that little seed that was planted by his grandfather.
So the most important thing too is that not only did Master P actually turn that little bit of investment into a multi-million-dollar business, but he, invested not only in family but his friends and his community.
Yep.
And that's the important thing about having an estate plan that can really talking about planting a seed that can blossom out and bless everybody else. Because when you plan something that's can create the benefit of everybody benefits. I want to give an example of, we talked about Master P. Here in Central Florida, we have a community called Dr. Phillips.
Yep.
And in that community, it's a well-to-do communities. It's full of bustling business, multi-billion-dollar community over the years. They have hospitals, businesses, schools, obviously real estate. But it started off where there was a black community, and in that community, this doctor named Dr. Phillips, he went and to everybody in the that area who had like little shanty houses and said, "Hey, listen, I know you only have like 30 feet, and I'm being facetious here, but 30 feet worth of property. And how about I do you a favor and I give you, I purchase the property, pay all the taxes, maintain, you get to live here, no expenses, rent free, whatever. But when you die,
it comes back to me.
I'll get the property. It's a life estate." So he actually bought this life estate, and he bought life estate for these properties. Now, of course, thinking, you're like, all right, nobody's gonna want this little dirt shack that's like, small housing. My children are not going to want it. Right. Sure, you want it? Go ahead. Let's say he did that for 20 houses, right? We talked about 30 yards, 30 yards per house or whatnot. That turned into hundreds of yards, and then he went, through up different parts of the community. He bought up all these different parts of the land because everybody didn't have the vision to plant a seed to say, hey, you know what, this may be a small parcel, but this parcel can actually may turn into something great. Imagine if you had people who had a seed to see the black dream to sprout into something that could have been a community that would have possibly been prosperous in a multi-billion-dollar area, because it is a prominent area. It's a central place in Central Florida. So we talk about having the vision to do something that can benefit the entirety of the community.
Right.
Yeah.
And what Dr. Phillips did essentially was forward thinking. Mm-hmm. He was thinking for tomorrow, not for today.
Right.
So it's not like, oh, this is just a piece of dirt. Mm-hmm. It has no value. It has no meaning. It can't be worth anything, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
He saw the value, right, the potential in this area prior to the owner seeing that value. Mm-hmm. And that basically robbed their legacies from inheriting such a valuable piece of dirt at one point in time.
Right. So one of the things why estate planning is so important to me, because my grandfather is a child. I'm a child of immigrants, and my grandfather came from Jamaica. And one of the things he did was he invested in property, laundromats, convenience stores or whatnot in Jamaica, and actually bought a brownstone. And one of the first black people in that neighborhood to have a brownstone, which is now considered Park Slope, Brooklyn, which is a very exclusive, very expensive area. But he had a brownstone and was very, very successful. The thing that happened was I was still early on in law school, and my grandparents wanted to move down to Florida, and they said, no, don't worry about it. You're going to handle the estate. But we just were ready to move. And I said, Grandma, can you just wait on a move? I graduated in a couple years. Let me just, get my feet bearing. Let me pass the bar, and then you can move down and I'll handle the estate. Grandparents said, no, we want to kind of divest now. We want to liquidate. We're ready to move. Wow. So they liquidated everything. They liquidated the assets, even the brownstone, and it's millions of dollars. Real estate, the apartment building, all that. Gave that money to an attorney, an estate planning attorney, and that attorney actually ended up stealing the money. And I'm talking about millions of dollars. So that really was not only my inheritance, my brother's inheritance, but it's also my children's inheritance, right? That's something that would have lasted generations. That we could have seen unfounded benefits from that was stolen. So one of the things I feel like personally, that's why I'm so passionate about estate planning, because I want to make sure that the feeling that I received from an attorney stealing money, and taking away somebody's dream and legacy. Nobody else has to experience that. And so, that's why I know I'm passionate about estate planning. I always promote estate planning within, especially within the Black community. But I'm also I'm trying to be a caretaker of people's dreams and the things that they've worked so hard for in their life.
Right. And Kumar, I can actually relate to what you're saying. Mm-hmm. My mother and father are immigrants as well. My mother came from Haiti. She came here literally on a boat. She one day got on a boat, and they traveled to and landed in Miami, Florida. My mother was a waitress. She worked in hotels. She did various odds and ends jobs. My parents combined probably didn't make more than $25,000 a year. I saw one of my old FAFSA forms, and I was like, oh my God, how in the world did they do this? Like how? Like impossible, right? But she was able to acquire real estate in Haiti. She was able to purchase a home here in the 80s. She was able to save money. She was able to go back and bring forward her family over here. She bought my siblings. She bought other relatives. My mother was just like, she is the matriarch of our family. Yeah. And with that, she has, throughout the years, acquired a vast amount of assets, right? Things that are valuable to me, to my siblings, to the family. And it is important that we ensure that those things that are valuable, right, are preserved so that we may be able to reap the benefits of my mother's sacrifice. Right. And my children and my nieces and nephews are able to reap those same benefits. Right. That's what it's about.
Yeah, yeah. It's about really taking the things that your parents and your grandparents have worked so hard and so tirelessly for, and creating legacies that can spider web into untold opportunities. So, I thank you for sharing that story. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a commentary. If you have any suggestions that you want us to cover, please do. But, till next time, contact Smith & Williams Trial Group, located where?
1820 West Colonial Drive, Orlando, Florida, 32804.
Yep, and you can reach us at 888-SWTGLAW or 321-872-7573.
See you later.
See you later.